Captain's Log Supplemental. Due to the nature of the nebula we are traveling through, we've had to keep the ship on minimum power and critical systems only. It's pretty much life support, navigation, and emergency lighting. No replicators, just emergency rations. I have to admit, it's starting to get to me a bit, walking through the quiet, barely lit hallways. Maybe it's just the stress, but I swear I keep seeing shapes in the darkness out of the corner of my eye. But when I look more closely, there's nothing there. Well, one time it wasn't nothing. It was a pair of off-duty officers canoodling. I sent them on their way with a reprimand. Anyway, I'm trying to keep together for the rest of the crew, but I find myself jumping at shadows and every little noise. Wait a second. I just heard something. It's right outside my quarters. Some type of animal grunting? It's getting louder. Hold on. God damn it, Ensigns. I told you to get a room.
All right, everybody. Welcome back for another week of Captain's Log Supplemental. Captain's Log Supplemental is a Star Trek rewatch podcast. Each week we cover another episode marching forward in chronological stardate order. My name is Rob, and as always, I am joined by my friends and co-hosts, Chris.
Hello.
And Stanford.
Hello.
As well as our friend and producer, Mariah.
Hi there.
So, how y'all doing this week?
I don't know if, honey, you're doing it on purpose or if you've worked on it, but I feel like your hi there always has a smile behind it, just the way you say it.
I
Just
am
know her so
usually-
well you can hear her smile.
I am usually smiling when I say it.
Yeah, okay, I thought so. It's it
Because-
really comes through in your tone.
Well, someone on here has to be nice.
I don't understand.
Well, okay. I think to put differently, somebody has to, compensate for you, Stanford.
You
In
know,
general.
I feel like I should take that personally.
Pretty sure that was in our wedding vows.
We're averaging you out.
Yep.
I'm nice. I have parties.
I'm nice, goddammit.
You shut the fuck up and tell me how nice I am.
I'm a people person.
I'm good at working with people. Oh, yeah.
You jump to conclusions.
Oh, God.
The worst part about that jump to conclusions, Matt, is if it was 2024, that shit would sell like hotcakes.
Oh, yeah. No doubt.
Someone would have...
There are so many dumb board games now.
Someone would have a really stupid LinkedIn post about it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, what the jump to conclusions, Matt, teaches me about big corporate mergers, yeah. Fuck, I hate LinkedIn. What a fucking cesspool.
Yeah,
It's awful.
I made a LinkedIn profile and then never used it.
I made a LinkedIn profile too, and every once in a while it's like, hey, someone wants to connect with you, and it's like a person I've never fucking heard of.
Right.
And I'm like, no.
Like, the only people who ever reach out to me there are headhunters. Like, every week, I wind up with a couple of guys just, messaging me saying, hey, we see that you do this job. Would you like to take a massive pay cut and go do this different job?
What a terrible, that would suck to have to do that. Oof.
Boy, would I, is Rob's response.
Be a headhunter? Ugh, awful.
Well, there's different kinds of headhunters. There are the ones that work, by commission per, job, and those ones are not as miserable, I don't think. Because, my dad's worked with a headhunter before. It's been hey, this company is looking to hire this kind of programmer, and you're that kind of programmer. Do you want to work there? Sure, great. I get $10,000 for you accepting that job.
Yeah. Just having to comb LinkedIn for people though. Ugh.
Well, those kinds of headhunters though are actually hired by the companies directly instead of that, and then they advertise for their own pools of applicants and clients. So it's a much more professional and not as predatory environment.
I have the opposite experience. I would say that at least 2/3 of them are people just dropping, cold calls to people, hoping that you'll bite so that they can get a commission from someone.
The headhunters I'm talking about work for clients. They don't cold call people.
Sure.
That right. I don't know anything about. That sounds, like I said, that shit sounds predatory.
Yeah, and like I've talked with what you're talking about before. A friend of mine, Mike, recommended one to me when I was contemplating leaving a bad situation. We'll say.
So when Rob got divorced, he called a headhunter.
No,
Rob's never been divorced.
I have not.
No, we're all first timers. Well, all the men folk here are first timers.
All right.
Duh.
Better thank your lucky stars, Stanford.
Yeah, right.
I'm a homewrecker.
Oh boy, here it comes.
Is that what he said?
Listen, just remember what your grandmother has said about Mariah.
Which grandmother and which incident?
The one that makes you angry. So anyway,
That's
this week's
literally
episode,
all of them except for the dead one.
so anyway, this week's episode of Enterprise was season 3, episode 23.
Hey, you know what you forgot to do?
If you're about to say rate and review, he did.
I did. I forgot. No, I forgot.
Yeah, he did not.
I did not say.
Yeah,
that.
because in his outline, like the banter, the mandatory banter session happens before that part.
Well, it sounded like he was breaking into the episode.
All right, listen, you.
I'm just saying, you called me out. I'm gonna call
Rob,
you out.
you should write a quick like JavaScript program to proc gen that intro so that it does a different segment in like a different order.
I hate everything about this. So anyway, like us, rate us, review us, leave awful messages that Stanford has to read.
Yeah, but like make them
Please.
funny
Yeah.
awful.
Like no. Even just straight up shitty ones. That's fine. I'm desperate to read like feedback about this podcast.
Yeah, but if they're funny, we can read them.
I mean,
we
we're
can do,
doing
like,
Enterprise
mean
right now.
tweets.
Even if it's not funny, I can read them.
Yeah. So season 3, episode 23, countdown.
The
Final countdown.
do.
So, like, did you guys watch the recap this week?
No, I don't watch recaps.
Nope.
Recaps are for
Okay.
chumps.
All right. Well, this chump watched the recap.
I don't have
and,
time for the recap because I'm too busy watching all of Faith of the Heart every single episode.
Just
like,
I question your choices.
all I can say is thank God that whole bit with Reed and T'Pol just like going into the sphere to get the little like thumb drive or whatever. Like, I'm glad that it wasn't just a throwaway B plot, that it like actually turned into something.
I mean,
know.
I would agree with you, except that it didn't turn it into anything good. But like, I do agree that the general concept of bringing back the death of someone on an away mission in a later episode is a good concept.
Yeah, I
I
was
don't
just
think it was
worried
well
that-
executed.
I was worried that they were going to, like, that was just going to be a throwaway thing, and that it wasn't going to matter, aside from Reed throwing a temper tantrum.
All I can say is that this episode is like an encapsulation of what I think is actually wrong with Enterprise and why it's not generally a good show. I'm going to preface that doesn't mean what you think it means. But
No,
I'm prefacing this review with that sentence.
All right, Chris, we got to vote high to counteract Stanford for this week. That's what I'm hearing.
Okay.
Anyway, we kick off Act 1 with Hoshi just lying on the floor of Reptilian ship's torture chamber.
I have Hoshi's just strewn on the floor. She's just kind of there.
Yeah.
There was a chair. They could have put her in the chair.
I mean, they do put her in the chair.
Well,
Later. Yeah, they've kidnapped Hoshi, and they need her to decrypt some aquatic messages that they think has the firing codes that the aquatics were going to use, right?
Right.
Dolim like creepily brushes her cheek while like doing his like mustache twirling evil villain
as I
maneuvers
say,
here.
you mean Admiral War Crimes?
Yeah. Admiral War Crimes.
Admiral War Crimes. I guess like he needs her to decrypt something, and she says the same thing I did, which is she's not a cryptologist. And like
Right.
she's a linguist. Those are two vastly different things.
Oh no, it's the same. Shut up.
Like,
Yeah, no, it works
that's
out
like
just
it's
fine.
like it's like saying I'm a linguist. Oh, so you must be really, really good at algebra because it's got letters in it. Like, no, not even a little bit. Like, those are not related fields.
Yeah, so like after explaining that to him, she also points out that she just doesn't want to help him. So they strap her into the torture chair.
Yeah, they go full Rosemary Kennedy on this bitch.
Mm.
Yeah. Meanwhile, back on Enterprise, T'Pol and Travis meet Trip in the shuttle bay, having just returned with their sphere thumb drive thingy, where Trip kind of catches them up on recent events.
There's a lot of like, this is a very fast, like paced scene. Like a lot of quick
This whole
talking.
episode was.
And I don't disagree. A lot of quick
Yeah.
talking, like found a Trip here explaining things that we already know, but I guess he's got to explain it to the people that weren't there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so like this scene ends with Reed delivering some bad news about the disintegrated Mako to
Corporal
Major
Redshirt,
Hayes.
yes.
Yeah, Corporal Redshirt. Archer visits the remaining council members back on the planet. The council members think that the aquatics aren't going to help the reptilians. He lets them know about Hoshi being abducted, and they all just kind of
Right.
collaboratively worry at this point about
So-
them.
Yeah, the plan here is that like the weapon requires the sign-off code of 3
Yeah.
out of 5 of the council factions.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think, and I'm just spitballing here, wouldn't you think that wiping out an entire planet should be like a unanimous kind of thing? Not just like a majority rules, like 3 out of 5 is good enough. We're just going to kill 7 billion people.
We don't got time for unanimity, okay?
Unanimity.
We gotta
No,
go.
we
We got
gotta
some
ma-
murdering to do. 3
we
of
gotta
5.
make 'em
Majority is good
close.
enough.
we gotta make them collect all the little space jewels like Thanos.
Mhm.
So yeah, Trip and T'Pol are back in the command center working to decrypt the sphere data that they brought back. They identify 4 spheres that sort of control the whole network of spheres.
This one was also kind of funny because they're like, is this a subroutine to do this or is this a subroutine to do that? It's like, boy, I wish Hoshi was here. It's like, was she a fucking programmer too?
Yeah.
She's a fucking linguist, not a miracle worker. Like, what the fuck?
I mean, listen, it turns out she is a programmer, as we'll return to later.
Yeah.
Archer asks them the obvious question, if destroying one will interrupt the whole network. Of course, they aren't sure what's going to happen. We never really get any finality on that, although I'm assuming that's going to happen in the next episode. Back in Reptilian World, Dolam and his friends are now injecting a parasite directly into Hoshi's skull.
Right
Dome is
through her
just a-
fucking forehead.
Big old shithead about it too.
Yeah.
Although
like,
I did like when Hoshi spit on that bitch's face.
yeah,
She's like,
yeah.
fuck you, Admiral Gore cries. Puh.
Yeah, she spits right in his face right before getting the most painful injection I have ever witnessed.
Yeah,
I mean, like, I'm going to be fair here. I've had bolts through my skull 4 times. It's actually not that bad. It doesn't hurt that bad. Your skull doesn't have a lot of nerves in it. But it is still weird to give an injection to someone's brain just straight through the skull with like a piercing gun.
Yeah, that's. I'm sure it's safe. It's fine.
Yeah. And the fun thing is, apparently these things work like the Alpha Ceti eels
Those
from
are
Wrath of Khan.
The Chekhov ear.
Yeah.
Earwigs.
Yeah, they're meant to make someone more compliant, which, yeah, we'll see how that turns out later. The Zindi, meanwhile, join Archer and Reed aboard Enterprise. Looks like Dolam and the superweapon have about a dozen fleets escorting them now. Archer wants to try and sway the aquatics to their cause, and surprisingly, at least to unnamed primate Zindi number 1 anyway, the aquatics do agree to meet with them, but
Deepak.
he warns Archer not to get his hopes up.
Yeah, he's
I-
fluent in space manatee.
I don't want to call him Deepak because I'm not sure if he understood the negative connotations of that guy.
Oh, I guarantee you he understood the negative Well, so rather, I guarantee you that he buys into the guy's fucking grift. Celebrities are insane, man. Like
That's just disappointing.
Like, yeah, it's how it goes. Yeah.
I know.
It's Tom Cruise and Scientology all over again. Like,
I just want
man, did you hear about
the
the freaking new singer of Linkin Park that they got as a Scientologist?
yeah. Scientology, there's something else wrong with her too. Yeah.
Yeah,
she's like, I think she's apologist for like she was an apologist
Danny
for like some
Masterson.
essay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I mean
That's
that's Scientologist bullshit because he was a Scientologist as well.
Sure, but there's also a
God.
lot of like other celebrities that are Danny Masterson apologists, and
True.
yeah.
Whee.
Sometimes it feels like celebrities are more insulated than fucking cops. Like, it's silly.
They have a guild.
It's the money.
It's well, it's that, you know.
I feel like they just lose touch after they make too much money.
Hey, there's research about that.
Yep. So yeah, Archer and team meet aboard the aquatic ship. Turns out, by the way, arboreal Zindi, scared of water. I thought that was a fun little touch.
I'm not.
That was funny.
I find these species things to be silly.
Speciest.
Specious is the wrong word. Well, first of all, I find it weird that, like, I guess, like, the oatmeal people were like, y'all have to create this great council and work together for the future of all of your kind. But don't you fucking dare share technology with one another. Ever. If your ships are better now, they better fucking always be better. Like, if the reptilians are that good at making ships, shouldn't they just make all of the Zindi ships? Like, what the fuck kind of coordination is this?
Apparently, the reptilians aren't the big boss in shipwise.
Well, okay. To be fair, the aquatic ships have to carry a bunch of fucking water, so I can buy that. You know.
I was gonna say they're the one situation where like it makes sense for them to have their own type of ship.
Right, and like for it to be really, really fucking beefy, but also like it's probably very expensive.
Oh yeah, yeah. So Archer warns the aquatics that the reptilians have kidnapped Hoshi and they plan to decrypt the aquatic weapon codes. They're unfazed by this and start to turn and swim away mopily. But fortunately, he sways them with the knowledge of disabling the spheres and keeping them from turning the expanse into more oatmeal space.
I like how he's like, did the Guardians show you where your planet's going to be? Like, did they show you like a Zillow link or something for it? Like, did you...
I mean, it's a legitimate question at this point.
Yeah, fair enough. And yes, disabling the spheres, the fucking manatees are like, oh shit, all right, hold on, he might have something here.
Yeah. We get some very cool CG here, which this is like a running theme for this episode. I found out reading Memory Alpha, they won an Emmy for all of the computer graphics used in this episode.
I literally said that last episode.
Oh. Surprise!
Oh, you know what would be a really good segment is if like we talked about all of the Emmys that Star Trek has won.
I mean, yes, I remember Chris talking about that. I didn't remember this specific episode.
I actually
so
specifically noted that last episode was nominated for the same award and lost to this episode.
Great. So yeah, cool CG inside of the super weapon. Dolan.
Fun note here, actually.
Oh.
In the super weapon, it was actually...
We need a jingle for Chris's little fun trivia.
Fun facts.
Trivia with Chris. Bam!
The reactor aboard the Zindi weapon is actually a combination of two props that were previously seen in the series. The core was formerly used as the Romulan mine from Minefield, and the outer rings were used in the ship's gymnasium in Vanishing Point.
Oh, now I'm mad Reed wasn't on the away team so we could get impaled by it again.
That was a fun fact with Chris. Bam!
Yeah. So Dolan is paying a visit to Hoshi and gets very upset with Hoshi's lack of progress.
Which, like, they're trying to break the aquatic encryption. That seems stupid because, like, taking at face value that Hoshi is a linguist and somehow good at this, wouldn't it be easier for her to do the languages she's better with? So, like, why not break the primate encryption?
So anyway, he decides that the best course of action to make her more compliant is another injection of parasites directly into her skull. After she, shows a little sign of resistance. So she decides instead to just book it and tries to jump to her death. But I wrote fortunately here. I said fortunately she's caught. I don't really know that this is a fortunate situation for her, but I mean, I'm glad she didn't die.
So that's good.
I guess it's good that she didn't die, although it is surprisingly dark of a 2004 show. Yeah.
Agreed. I did think that was interesting.
Although I was worried, I guess I am slightly concerned at the Japanese adjacency to that act.
Yeah.
But like it wasn't really dwelled upon, so I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know if that was intentional because of that. I mean, certainly, right.
I could definitely see a scene in this where she's like, yeah, when my grandfather was captured in World War III or whatever. It's like, oh, for fuck's sake.
So it's funny because here they start reviewing Hoshi's work and find that she is indeed an expert programmer and added another layer of encryption to their arming codes.
Yeah, I like, not only is she an expert cryptologist, which is impressive, but also, like, I bet you money that if I went to a cryptologist, like the reigning cryptologist expert in the world, and went, hey, can you like add a layer of encryption to my computer? He'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, that's
not how anything works.
That's not how anything works.
Yeah. Dolam is very disappointed in his subordinates and chides them for their lack of paying attention to Hoshi.
Which, are they programmers? Maybe they didn't understand what the fuck she was doing.
Listen, everyone's a programmer. Back on Enterprise, T'Pol and Trip are disagreeing on the method of disrupting the spheres.
T'Pol's
she gets really short at Trip dismissing all of her ideas. So Trip just decides to take his ball and go home. He says he's going back to engineering, but she calls him out by name and says Trip instead of using his title.
So, yep, it's the first time she's done that.
Is it really? Like, it felt so weird. Like, it doesn't surprise me.
That was actually another trivia note. This is the first time
she has used sorry. This is a fun fact with Chris.
And she then apologizes for getting emotional, which that is a loaded word for her to have used here. She says that dealing with her emotions will be difficult for her to do alone. So he offers her his ear once the current situation is resolved.
This was
get back to work.
This was a cute little
scene. Is this season where everyone got the idea that women were too emotional to be in charge?
No.
It sounds like she's doing a lot of apologizing for having emotions, and I understand that she's a Vulcan, but she's a woman, and it's really starting to bother me.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I said it was a loaded word. Like,
also, to be fair,
there's the whole thing where she's coming down from like a drug addiction,
right?
So, like,
to be fair, her emotional outburst is like, "No, Commander, can you actually listen to me for once?"
Yeah.
So, like, none of it's great in terms of that particular aspect of things.
Yeah, it's not good.
Anyways, we'll accept your apology for being emotional later, honey.
Speaking of women power,
I'm about to get emotional.
Oh shit!
Well, I mean, good news? Question mark. The sphere builder matriarchy shows up again, with their leader lady showing up to check in on Dolam. Dolam is upset that she just can't tell him the password for the super weapon, which
like that
fair.
Was, I mean, that's a dumb statement by him because she's like, I'm not going back into the past to check someone's fucking passwords. But a better question is, like, if y'all are these super advanced beings, can't you just decrypt this shit with your better computers? Like,
you would think
that feels easy enough.
But she says no, and then berates him for even questioning her.
Which, like, that's a fair, like, little glimpse into even this reptilian guy starting to have doubts here about this woman and her motives. So, like, it was fine. It's just weird to be like, go back in time and fucking get their password. And she's like, no, that's not how time travel works. And he's like, well, bleh.
I mean, that's how it kind of works. Shut up.
I guess we can go back to Detroit, but not to Degra's office from 3 years ago.
Trip and Paul come up with a plan. They want to use a deflector pulse trademark to disrupt the spheres and start filling Archer in on their plan.
Yeah, deflectors are right up there with transporters in how often they solve problems.
Yeah. We see our friends visiting Archer again. Archer worries that the Xindi could just make another super weapon after all of this is over, which, again, fair.
I like how D-Box like, well, we had the aquatics build the weapon because the lizards and the bugs are fucking douchebags. Like, so.
By the way, the aquatic ships are freaking giganormous.
They're very big.
Incredible,
very big.
Like I didn't have a good idea of it until they showed like the tiny little like primate ships just buzzing around them.
I don't know. So here's a question. Does it remind you of anything when you have a fleet of ships, including one large kind of bulbous one that is populated by like a marine life species?
It's a trap.
I was going to say, would you say it's a trap?
I have in my notes here, this feels a little Star Wars-y. I don't know.
I get like Mon Cal vibes from them through like most of this entire episode. The Xindi assure Archer that they intend to just make friends with the humans after all of this is done, because that's what Degra wanted, and damn it, we're gonna follow through with this dead man's wishes for some reason. The Xindi Aquatics, again, kind of surprising everybody, agree to help intercept the super weapon. Hooray! So we get another trippy vision of Oatmeal Space.
Boring ass Oatmeal Space again.
Yep, with all this fear builder leadership.
Although one of them was like, the time has come for us to intervene. Like, what the fuck have you been doing so far?
Yeah, right? They're upset because more and more of the time forecasting, I guess, is starting to say that humans are going to win.
Time forecasting.
They decide they need to intervene more directly.
I just want to see the time weather person.
I was just thinking the same thing. It's like someone standing in front of a big map, and it's like, well,
just some Oatmeal Space lady with an enormous rack, pointing to pictures.
It's gonna be human over here in the 90s here, and yeah. So when we come back from Oatmeal Space, they used for the like third or fourth time this episode the same footage of those ships in orbit. I'm like, man, they're using the fuck out of that footage.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. Back on the reptilian vessels, Dolam visits Hoshi again. Looks like she's decrypted the aquatic launch codes. Hooray!
Quick turnaround.
Yep.
I don't know. This, between the time has come for us to intervene moment and this scene, I actually got the idea that Hoshi didn't finish her work, that the Oatmeal people actually helped them.
I didn't get that.
I didn't get that either.
Because I thought he said something to the effect of, we don't need her anymore.
I didn't hear that at all.
Oh, okay,
I mean, he said that after they confirmed getting the codes.
Right, and that's what I mean.
Cell.
I don't know. I didn't get I did not get the idea that she had actually finished her job.
No, I'm pretty sure she did.
I did, yeah. I'm pretty sure they said something about it.
I'm just gonna go ahead and assume I'm right. It's easier for me.
I mean, that tracks with your normal behavior. So.
Oh man, that was not a fun fact with Chris.
No, that's a facts don't care about your feelings from Chris.
Mm.
Back on Enterprise, we get a very moving speech from Captain Archer about how everybody aboard Enterprise is ready for business.
Except for, I will say, except for whatever railing is being welded on the top, like floor of engineering because that shit is still going on. It's been like 3 episodes of that fucking extra back there welding that railing.
Somebody keeps leaning on it.
You know what it probably is? Do you remember way back in season 1, like almost at the beginning of the series, they have that goofy little elevator that has the railing that's way too short?
The handrail that you're not allowed to put your hand on?
Yeah. I bet you it's that.
Yeah, maybe.
We get another cool CGI scene with the aquatic ship. It is indeed massive. Rejoins Hayes back in the armory to drop off his report on the Mako Corporal's death.
God, the sexual tension between these two is fucking thick.
Hayes asks, too much fanfic.
Yeah, he has. Hayes asks for permission to speak freely, Stanford's favorite military trope.
Fucking hell.
And then proceeds to blame Reed for the Corporal's death.
But like in a teasy kind of way. My next note is, God, they're going to fuck so hard later.
Yeah, Reed gets a little teary-eyed. Hayes says that the Makos all felt like outsiders at first, but now they feel like they're all a part of Enterprise now, and he promises to bring Hoshi home safe. Meanwhile, Trip and T'Pol are eating dinner with Archer.
Archer's feeding Porthos directly from the fucking table.
Goodest boy. How could you not include Porthos?
I'm not going to lie. I did not notice that. I was probably writing notes furiously.
When I looked up to see that scene, I was like, there's Porthos. I bet he's going to get fed. He's such a good boy.
Was it cheese?
Nah, some kind of meat or something. I was like, oh, Archer, not from the table.
Right. That's just enforcing bad habits.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they're talking about their plans after their current mission is complete. T'Pol surprises both of them and says that she's considering joining Starfleet. Dinner, unfortunately, gets interrupted by Reed.
Wait! You missed the best line in the fucking show right here. Because Trip's like, I already told everybody that when we get back home, I'm gonna buy everybody around at the 602. I hope you can be there, Captain. And Archer said, yeah, that sounds good. And then I don't remember exactly what happened, but he asked T'Pol, like, and what about you? And she's like, you may buy me a drink if you wish, which is a good fucking line. It's one of those lines where, like, as an adult, it's like, oh, okay, all right, we're doing a little flirting, but like in a fun way. And Trip laughs in that like way you do when flirting works, you know? Like it was just a good little moment.
Yeah, it was a fun moment. So yeah, the reptilians meanwhile start spinning the superweapons disco ball reactor, which I guess means that it's being turned on. They realize that another vortex is opening up nearby, and then a whole bunch more start opening up nearby, and the entire like primate, arboreal, aquatic armada just starts popping in Star Wars style. This is actually pretty cool to see.
This vortex tech seems kind of cool. It's too bad we don't hear about this shit ever again.
Hey, play the jingle.
It's a fun fact with Chris.
Yeah. So trivia note here: the vortex effect is actually a recycle of the Borg transwarp hub effect from Voyager.
Oh, that's cool. I guess they just have that like After Effects stored somewhere, and then they just throw it into.
Yeah, they must.
Well,
their editing software.
Well, Voyager. I'm not sure After Effects is the right term. Voyager was the first Star Trek where like all of the ship stuff was CGI. So. It may have just been a CGI effect.
Oh, weird.
This has been a fun fact with Chris.
All right. So yeah, the entire armada starts popping in. Archer asks the aquatics to release the ship from dock, and we get this cool scene of like I don't even know what class you would call Enterprise, but it just shows how huge these aquatic ships are. That like a dock opens up on the belly of the aquatic ship, and Enterprise flies out of it,
burst from the aquatic.
I was like, my note here was like, wait, what the fuck? That was cool,
right? Like this ship is huge.
Well, to be fair, I don't know how big Enterprise really is, though. Like,
it's small.
It's smaller than.
Like it's a little shorter than the reptilians, but like
in terms of like other ships that we're familiar with in Star Trek, the Enterprise is pretty small, right?
Sure. Like, I'm sure that, like, the Enterprise D is probably on the bigger side because they had to, like, keep all of the civilians on board, too.
Yeah, okay. So the NX-01 is, according to this chart, only slightly bigger than the space shuttle.
Oh, man, they got like a whole fucking graphic over here, too. Yeah.
But the space shuttle is mostly empty space, fun fact, because of
Yeah.
its big-ass cargo bay. Whereas the
facts with
NX-01 is... Oh, shit.
Well, okay, so this says the graphic I'm looking at says
this
space
is
shuttle
not to scale. Hold on.
is 37.237 meters. NX class is 225 meters.
Yeah, no. I was just looking at this fucking graphic. I'm like, wait, that doesn't seem right at all.
So it's like 7 times as large as the space shuttle.
Okay, this one looks to scale. And, yeah, so, like, I don't know. The aquatic ship looks slightly bigger than, like, a Galaxy class. It looks about the same based on, like, this little chart. So, it's big. Like, don't get me wrong, it's big. It's fucking big. But it's not, like, unbelievably large compared to the stuff that we're familiar with from this very, IP.
Sure.
The Sovereign class is probably almost as big, if not the same size as that aquatic ship.
Yeah.
Sovereign is 685 meters.
Dang.
Fuck, that's big.
Yeah,
That's pretty big.
We get another cool CG battle with both fleets kind of like flying and orbiting around the weapon while also blasting each other. There's a fun scene where like the aquatics just kind of like body a couple of the reptilian ships.
Yeah, they do.
And keep them from firing an Enterprise.
Yeah, well, the aquatic ship, being an absolute unit, just like fucking whipping itself around the battlefield and just fucking shit up.
It was so cool.
Yeah, what's it? The Dolan said they've lost like 8 ships compared to like 2 or like 12 ships compared to 2 or something.
Yeah.
They were not doing well for the more belligerent of the Xindi peoples.
Good fight. Fun to see.
Yes.
Yeah.
We get a shot, like the Enterprise takes a shot, and we get a cut into the bridge where like half of it fucking explodes and sparks and smokes and shit, and then reads like some minor damage to the starboard nacelle, sir. It's like, what? Okay, I don't know what minor damage means. So like, your bridge got fucked up.
Oh man, it reminds me. So like, I think I told you, I finished reading Red Shirts. It reminds me how like they're talking about being on the bridge means that you have to just watch out for random explosions going off near your station. But like that's the biggest risk you have by being on the bridge.
Yeah, that's
amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, they figure out which of the ships has Hoshi, and Enterprise kind of like sidles up next to it. Hayes and a few of the Makos beam aboard and start their search. They couldn't really find exactly where she was, but they had the general idea.
I was so excited to see the Makos actually go be competent for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was my whole point. Yeah, sorry. No, you're good.
Okay.
Then one of them, like a couple of them whooped that dude's ass with a stun baton. It was badass.
Yeah.
That was cool. There's a cool scene with a grenade later on too.
Well, it would be cool, except that the reptilians look at it like, what's that? Like they've never seen a grenade before.
Hey, maybe that didn't exist.
I think we've seen those 2 reptilians throw a grenade in a previous episode.
Yep. Yeah, it's fine. So yeah, Dolan decides like, damn the consequences. We're going to fire the weapon, even though the engineers are all telling him like, we need more time to prep the weapon before we fire it. Hayes and his team do find Hoshi, but Enterprise can't pick up their comms. I guess they were too deep in the ship.
Hayes takes like entirely too long to like kneel over her and be like, Ensign, wake up, Ensign, wake. It's like, dude, she's uncut. Move, go, like to take her. Like, what are you doing?
You know what this reminded me of? Did you ever have to, like, you've taken CPR courses before, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they all have those corny videos where like they tell you like, okay, shake the person's shoulder and say like, hey, are you all right? Are you okay?
Are you choking? Yeah.
Are you dying currently?
Yeah.
Does your heart feel like it is beating right now? Look, one
so yeah,
blink for yes, two blinks for no. What does one long blink mean?
Yeah. At this point, the sphere builders start showing off what they meant by like more direct intervention, I guess. They still aren't there, but they start using the spheres. At least I think it's the sphere. I don't think it was the super
Yes,
weapon.
it was the
It
sphere.
was the
Yeah.
spheres,
Okay.
yeah. Although
Yeah.
I also agree that the camera work was a little confusing there because they cut to a sphere doing shit, and I don't.
Yeah.
It was kind of odd because we didn't. I don't know. It wasn't necessary as a cut, and it did kind of muddle things for a moment.
Well, I think it was unfortunate that the super weapon was also a sphere.
Also, it was a big fucking sphere. Yeah.
Yeah. So they start activating the spheres and begin forming anomalies near the weapon to create like a defensive shield.
Yeah, they make some oatmeal trails.
Uh-huh. Yep.
And I guess, like, I understand why Enterprise is getting jacked up, but, like, what about all the Xindi ships that are coated in Trillium D? Why does it affect them?
Well, this isn't just a regular anomaly. It's they've turning it into oatmeal space.
Yeah.
like that one area that they had. Which, why aren't they just doing that, by the way, if they can do it that fast?
Well,
Yep.
I think they're waiting for it to happen over a bigger period of time, like over a bigger period of space.
Yeah. I don't know.
It's like oh, if I can desalinate water by evaporating a cup of it on my windowsill, why don't we just do that to the whole ocean and solve fresh water problems? Like there's a scale issue there, right?
Yeah, the poor aquatic ship winds up getting stuck in one of these new anomalies, and it creates a whole bunch of cracks across the hull, and you start seeing all the water release out to space. Like it was like, oh no, not the poor space manatees. It was so sad.
If you looked, actually, some of the water started freezing, and there were like
it was pretty cool.
spears coming out of it and shit. It was actually pretty well done.
Yeah, I can see why they won the award for this episode.
To be clear,
reptilian ship.
To be clear, it is fun. It's cool. It still looks like early 2000 CGI. Like it's not like great, but it's cool. Man.
Speaking of CGI, I watched Pacific Rim with the boys yesterday. I hadn't seen it before.
Oh, I should watch that with Liam. He would love that.
So
That's
good.
a fun movie.
It's so good. And the CGI holds up well for being a 10-year-old movie.
I found that movie to be incredibly stupid.
I mean, it wasn't a good plot, but it's a giant monster movie. What do you expect?
Is it based off a comic book?
The guy who's like, yeah, probably. The guy who's like, Sir, I can withstand the EMP. My Jaeger is analog.
Yeah, no, that was dumb.
And it's you have holographic computers inside that bitch. What analog bullshit is that?
Yeah, I'm not saying the plot was good. It was a fun movie because it was like entirely CGI.
Hologram.
Yeah, it's a fun time. I really enjoy that movie. I watched the second one, and it's incredibly disappointing.
The only great part about that movie is like all of the scenes that are inside the dead kaiju.
Yeah,
like with that, like with the black market and shit. Those were always fun.
Yeah. Oh man, I don't even remember where I left off.
that was a fun sidetrack with Chris.
That was a tangent. Oh yeah. So Hayes and team wind up in another firefight. Trip warns them that the last anomaly took the transporter offline.
I was like, oh no, the transporter's not working. Those damn drama circuits they installed.
Hayes, this is where Hayes grenades a couple of the reptilians that try to flank behind them. And Makos are holding. They're holding on. Trip lets them know that he gets the transporter back up, but he can only beam them out 2 at a time.
And he has to reset the buffer.
Reasons.
Yep. Yeah. He has to reset the buffer. He gets everyone out but Hayes, and on his way off of the ship, Hayes takes a shot directly through the chest as he's being transported.
By the way,
this is inconsistent because
I was going to say because there's been many Star Trek scenes where somebody has been being transported away. The beam goes through their transport ghost, and nothing happens.
Nothing happens.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that's happened on this show.
Like I think in TOS, somebody like has an arrow go through them, if I remember correctly. Or it might be in like another. It was like a melee weapon. It was. Same kind of thing, I guess, is what I'm saying. Like, it's very funny how inconsistent they are about this.
Although, like, I I like this explanation better, that he just shows up and there's just parts of him missing there, and he's just fucking like, oh shit! Like this is
a hole through his chest.
how it should work.
Yeah. The weapon gets closer to firing. So I get the impression that the sphere builders like give it a little more juice and help bring it online early. So Archer orders Travis to get close in, anomalies be damned. But the reptilians create a new vortex and escape
Towards Earth. They're like, set a destination for Earth. Because they were firing up the like priming sequence. So like the weapon is ready to fire. Now they got to get to Earth with it.
Yeah. Back on Enterprise, Reed checks in on Hayes in sickbay. Hayes tells Reed, rely on Mackenzie, which
okay, is there not a chain of command for the Makos? Like, shouldn't someone know who's taking over for Hayes after this?
I'm pretty sure later when Reed takes the team at the end of this episode,
Mackenzie is not one of them.
Does not take Mackenzie.
Does not. Yeah, so Reed's kind of like standing next to it because there's no need for that kind of talk. Before Hayes has a heart attack and dies.
Right before he was bleh.
Bleh. Yeah, the sexual tension shatters. I know the label I am given often by you two in terms of emotional scenes, but I do not believe that this show has developed Hayes enough for me to have a meaningful emotional impact here.
No, I agree.
It's because the music's all sad and dramatic, and then like I don't know if you heard, but as soon as he died, like that single bugle horn started playing on the soundtrack. Because like it's supposed to sound like taps, and it's like, all right, this guy's had 7 lines the entire fucking season, and like it would be better if see, this should have been a fucking love scene, like we should have had sweaty underwear Hayes and Reed action for like episodes and episodes, and then this would mean something.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that statement.
All I'm saying is there's not enough gay sex in this show. I think that's what I'm complaining about.
Hey, you know what? The next show will fix that for you.
Oh yeah, Will. Dr. Sexy.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then you'll get none for the rest of every show we watch. So enjoy it while you can.
They got it out in that Berman. One. Yeah.
Archer and the remaining council members discuss using Dagra's ship to try and catch up with the sphere. Apparently it's very fast, but it's got like no guns. So good luck, Archer. Meanwhile, the Aquatics are like cashing in on Archer's promise, and they're like, "You have to disable the spear network now."
That seems so I feel like the Aquatics could have given him a fucking minute, like
yeah, like this is still a problem. But
the Aquatics are like, we did our fucking job. We showed up here,
Yeah, so they agree to split the party. They're going to send Reed and Archer after the sphere with a couple of Makos.
Why? Why are we only taking 3 Makos with us? Because the Makos don't have a job on the ship. They're literally like infantry. So if there's only one ship that's going to go do some infantry shit, take all of them. Like, what's the problem?
Who else are they going to feed to the GLaDOS arm to get vaporized in the next episode?
Oh, God. Yeah, they'll have to hold off the arm while they disrupt the sphere with their disruptor pulse. Reed goes back, joins the Makos, delivers the bad news about Hayes, and gives them a little pep talk, prepping them for the next away mission to the super weapon.
There's a couple of like extras just standing in the background here for Reed's dumb speech. Their faces are very like, the fuck is Reed doing? Like,
yeah. So he asks for volunteers, and of course, every single one of them steps forward. So he just lists off 3 random ones.
There's like, okay, here's what I need. I need anyone who's not named Mackenzie.
Yeah. It's so weird.
Because fuck Hayes.
Yeah. Back in sickbay, Archer is asking Phlox to wake up Hoshi, but Phlox refuses, saying that she needs at least 2 more hours to finish her recovery. Apparently her neural pathways are still stitching themselves back together. So he just says, move her over to Dagra's ship, which Phlox rightly protests, but ultimately gives in to Archer's demand here.
Although he says, well, I'm coming with you. And, like, it's supposed to be this noble, like, well, the doctor and then Archer's like, they have their own sick bay and their own medical professionals. It's fine. And he's like, no, I'm not leaving my patient. It's like, okay, Phlox, I get it. I get you're a good doctor because Hoshi is a main character. There is a literal overflow of injured people in the scene behind him. There are injured people laying in the hallway behind him groaning. And he's like, well, I have to go with Hoshi. And we know for a fact there is not a single other medical professional on this ship.
No.
Like, I'm not leaving my patient that has a name. Fuck all of these guys, but that one's got a name.
Screw these randos.
They're really relying on him and his weird sleep cycle to just kind of take care of this whole ship, aren't
Which
they?
is fine-ish, but there's like, it's this whole like fake drama of like, so Phlox is supposed to be this good doctor, but he's going to leave like 30 injured people to save one person who's fine. Like, she just needs to rest.
Shut up, he's triaging. Dollum gets a call from the insectoids who are along for the ride in the vortex, who are now also questioning their decision to even join the reptilians in the first place.
The insectoids ain't thrilled. They are not thrilled at what happened.
That oatmeal space thing was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
They're like, look, we're down. We're down for some killing of the Earthlings, but I don't like oatmeal.
Yeah. Yeah, so Dollum does what he does best and starts committing more war crimes, annihilates the insectoids, and
is it a war crime if you kill your own soldiers? I don't know.
It feels like it should be if it's not.
It feels like it should be.
We gotta. Did Canada do it yet? Because they're one of the trailblazers for war crimes, apparently.
Did you say Canada?
Yes.
Oh. Not Israel with their fucking indiscriminate pager attack on civilians last night?
No, yes, that's terrible. I was referring to events in the past because they're the reason a lot of things got put in the Geneva Convention.
Oh, God.
God damn it, Canada. The Geneva Convention, that thing that we ignore.
Oh, everybody ignores it until, like, the war's over, and then you prosecute.
Yay, tear gas. Trip and T'Pol join Reed and Archer as they're boarding Dagger's ship. And Trip asks Reed to bring him back a piece of the weapon as a souvenir.
Jesus fucking Christ. Like,
yeah.
I understand he's grieving or whatever, but that's a little tasteless. Like, what the fuck are you talking about, Trip?
And like, even it's just dumb. Like, why?
Mm-hmm.
What's the point of this exchange?
And do something better, shoot a reptilian for me over there,
right? Yeah,
whatever, yeah.
Like, that doesn't even make sense. Like,
it's like, I want you to make sure you eat all their food right in front of them. Yeah.
It's like, I'm gonna be fucking busy, man.
Before you blow up their ship, leave like 3 double deckers for me.
So
upper deckers,
upper deckers, yeah.
You know what this reminded me of? So at some point during this episode, Dollum talks about how he's going back I think it's right before everybody shows up to start blasting. Dollum talks about how he's going back to like some sort of like thermo chamber or whatever. So like,
his thermo chamber.
I guess they do have warmers.
His thermal chamber, because we saw them the one day. Yeah.
His suntanning booth.
Oh my God. It's just like a warm rock that he sleeps on.
Reed's like, go into every room and just switch their thermostat to a completely random number. Yeah.
Switch it to freezing. So then Archer, ribs T'Pol and Reed and says like, hey, T'Pol, make sure you keep Trip in line while we're gone. Ha, ha, ha.
Good line.
And then
good line. I don't hate it. I don't hate that line.
It was funny.
Because she's like, I'll try. And it's a good line.
Yeah. And then joins Reed aboard Dagger's ship. And
not the worst cliffhanger. Ends. Not the worst cliffhanger.
No, I feel like, okay.
All right.
We'll get into it in a second here.
Yeah.
So on a scale of 0 to 5, with 0 being threshold, how would you like to rate this week's episode?
I'm going to go first.
Okay.
So I gave it a 4.
Okay.
And the reason that I said at the beginning that this episode perfectly outlines the fucking problem with this show is exactly why it's a 4. Because this show does not have, in the grand scheme of things, a plot problem. And especially in these last few episodes where they've actually focused on the plot,
right.
It's been good. There's been some good, interesting intrigue. There's been some things actually happening. Progress gets made. Interesting obstacles are encountered. Setbacks happen. We continue forward with the show. It's a serial show. So like we expect setbacks at the end of each episode, but they've been like varied and interesting and plot relevant. And it's just been good. The other thing that's been good is is Trip and T'Pol. That's been good. Those two characters have an interesting story. They have a good dynamic. The two actors clearly have some chemistry. Good stuff. The rest of the characters on this show are fucking boring. They're just they're painfully uninteresting.
Listen, they're all practical jokers.
And every time they felt like they were going to actually get into some shit. Like Hoshi had some storylines here and there, but then they're just like, okay, we're done with her. In this episode where you could have done some interesting Hoshi shit, she didn't do shit. She was just helpless the whole time.
Yeah, she was damsel in distress, basically.
Fucking barely heard from Travis in the last 6 episodes. And Reed's entire storyline is that he's a jealous little bitch. Like, it's just not good. The characters are awful, except for Trip and T'Pol, and the show is doing well on its plot. So this episode, which is plot heavy, and the only real character interactions we get are Trip and T'Pol, is good. And it would have been a 5 if they dropped out all that Reed and Hayes bullshit. Like, it's a good episode.
I would argue that Dagra's character is also well written and well
Sure, I guess I was trying to mean like the characters that we started the show with. Like,
oh, okay.
He's dead now. He doesn't matter anymore.
Not only is he dead now, but he also wasn't in the first 2 seasons. So like,
yeah.
But yeah, of the main characters, and don't get me wrong, I love Phlox. I like Phlox as an actor. I like Phlox as a character in terms of what 2-dimensional archetype he is playing, but it is still a 2-dimensional character. There's been no growth to Phlox. There's been no arc. He's just still Phlox, which is great. And they use him well enough, so it's not that big of a deal. But like, Archer and Hoshi and Travis and Reed have had no fucking arcs to speak of, and yet they get all this screen time, so it's just boring. Anyways, 4 out of 5. Do recommend.
Yep. To keep it brief, 4 out of 5. It was fun. You know, it was good as far as Enterprise goes. It was good.
Yeah. I also gave this one a 4 out of 5, and I am on board with your evaluation of the current situation here, Stanford. Like, it's just I feel like from a writing perspective, they just can't help themselves at some point. Like they get so close and then they sabotage themselves in the weirdest ways.
Right.
Like, this really could have been a 5 out of 5. Like, despite the fast pacing, because this was paced quick. Like,
yeah, there's a lot going on.
I think it's the same kind of situation that we had last week, where like it really is something that could have been stretched out over the course of a season. Like, if they had taken all of season 3 so far and they turned that into the first 3 seasons of Enterprise, I would have been much happier. Because like, this is good. All of this is pretty damn good.
Yeah. This is good stuff. And like, it's good and it should be stretched out more, because you're right. It is very fast.
Yeah. All right.
So this episode was directed by Robert Duncan McNeil. He's the guy who played Tom Paris.
Mm-hmm.
Other episodes rated by him, The Breach, which we all liked.
Yeah.
And Cold Front, which was okay. And there's one more that I don't think we've gotten to yet. Oh no, there is one more. Oh, here it is. Twilight, which I fucking loved. So, Robert Duncan McNeil. Twilight is the zombie Vulcan ship one. It's the only episode I've given a 5 to.
You don't remember that at all?
I don't think that's the zombie one. I think that's the one where Archer
no,
is
I'm
old.
sorry. No, Twilight I fucking hated. No.
Yeah.
Impulse is...
Impulse, yeah.
Sorry, those are the same word.
What?
You're right, I don't like Twilight. Anyways, that explains why mine is a little lower. But Robert Duncan McNeil is, according to our charts, Rob's favorite director.
Oh, that's fun.
And by the way, another fun fact with Chris. This is
is that just a fun fact with Chris?
this This is the last episode of Enterprise that Duncan McNeil directs.
Crazy. All right, well, it's all downhill from here. We're going to take a little break here, and we'll be back for this week's deep dive. You guys ready to just keep rolling?
Yep, we better. Our summary ran long there.
Yeah, it did. We had a lot of discussion.
We had a lot to say. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So for this week's deep dive, it's weird. Like, this was a very fast-paced episode. We didn't really get a whole lot of anything in particular for very long on the screen. So I thought it might be interesting to take a character that exited the series today, Corporal Hayes? Not Corporal Hayes.
Major
Hayes. Take a look at the actor who played him and a little bit of his history in film and television. So Hayes is played by Stephen Culp. His first big role was as a Dr. Danny Wollick on One Life to Live, an ABC soap opera.
Nice. Which one was he?
Danny Wollick? Dr. Danny Wollick? Oh, I didn't know that you watched that.
Oh, yeah. I came home from school and my stepmom was watching.
Ah. Yeah, a few years later, after he wrapped up on the soap, he guest starred for a couple of episodes on a show called A Man Called Hawk, which featured none other than Avery Brooks, a.k.a. Captain Sisko, in the lead role.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. He's got a lot of weird links back to Star Trek before he wound up in Star Trek. And then a weird note about Star Trek. He also appeared on the hit sitcom Murphy Brown.
Murphy Brown.
Yep. LA Law, Touched by an Angel, and Beverly Hills 90210. In 1996, he landed what was probably his first big gig as Les Landau on JAG.
I remember JAG.
Yeah.
I remember JAG being a show that existed. I don't think I've seen minute one of it.
I watched
my parents love
that
that show.
Like that show, so
Yeah.
Yeah, while working on JAG, he also had guest appearances on Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman, Ally McBeal, Boston Public, and Crossing Jordan.
Oh, who was he in Boston Public? That's a good show.
He was an attorney on that show. He actually wound up prosecuting Will Shatner's character.
Oh, okay. So Boston Legal.
Boston Public.
Boston Public is a show about a school.
Yes,
What's
Boston
this
Legal.
guy's name?
Stephen Culp.
I do not recognize him.
No.
He definitely has one of those faces that is completely unrecognizable.
He's a good everyman character, and it kind of
but
shows
as a douchey
his,
white guy.
It's interesting because a ton of his parts were all either playing doctors or lawyers on just a ton of TV series. For instance, just before his stint on Enterprise, he played Ted Simmons on a few episodes of 24. He also joined Robert Picardo on an episode of The Lion's Den, another legal drama. He played Speaker of the House Jeff Hafley on The West Wing, and Dr. Rex Vandekamp on Desperate Housewives. He had a bunch of guest appearances in other shows like Traveler, Numbers, Stanford. He was on Stargate Atlantis, which
Who
was
was he in
interesting.
Atlantis?
So is this guy basically a perpetual bit player?
He's just a working actor. Yeah.
Yeah. He's very prolific and clearly does a good job. Interestingly, he also had a role on Star Trek Nemesis, but unfortunately his scene was cut and didn't make production.
Yeah, that was also a trivia note that I had for this episode.
Fun facts with Chris. So yeah,
I like how the fun facts with Chris also has the deleted scene.
Yeah, overall, I felt like he did a pretty good job portraying Hayes in the series. I know I said this before, and Stanford brought it up earlier during the recap. I wish we got to see more of the Makos. I feel like they could have been a much bigger story beat, especially with them, just portraying them, settling in with the crew. We we kind of get like these lame statements like the basically Hayes' footnote tonight about them like finally feeling like they were a part of Enterprise like right before he dies.
Yeah, there was never anything about that.
Right,
No.
and it would be one thing if like we didn't even get mentioned the opposite. Like we never have heard anyone be like, "Nah, goddamn these Makos, they're so different," or rabble rousing, or like I just can't feel like I relate to them. Like every time we've ever had any encounters with the Makos, except for Reed, everyone's been perfectly cordial.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I wish that they had played up the relationship between Trip and Amanda longer too. Like I feel like that could have been a beat between him, Amanda, and T'Pol, and playing that whole like love triangle out.
Yeah, but as we found out, after Trip was, kind of showing more interest in T'Pol, Amanda went after that Denobulan Wang. So
Yeah. Had a lot of kids too.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Maybe she's pregnant right now. Maybe that's why she's not. She's hyper pregnant with some weird Denobulan babies.
Okay.
Maybe. Anyway, so that was all I had
apparently he's going to show up in Grey's Anatomy, or he did. I'm not there yet.
Oh, hey, have you not watched all 47,000 episodes of that show?
I'm working on it.
There's so many.
What are they on, like season
my
18 or some shit?
I think it might be more than that. But I don't think our producer's looking that up.
Oh, that wasn't an actual question.
Sorry, I wasn't going to answer it.
No, that's fine.
Sorry, Rob doesn't understand rhetorical questions.
No, I don't. Anyway, that's all I had for this week's deep dive. I thought it would be interesting just to take a look at his career up till now, and then give him a little send off from Enterprise. Yeah, we'll be back in a couple minutes with some potpourri. He's not Weasley.
Welcome back. So today for potpourri, I'm going to do something that is we're going to do a trivia game. So this game, the idea for this game came to me yesterday after a conversation with my son's sensei from his dojo, who was asked me if I had happened to seen this particular sketch of Jimmy Kimmel Live. So back in 2020, as part of the like coronavirus like shutdowns and shit, night shows like those late night shows were doing like whack shit. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that Jimmy Kimmel Live was doing was having like other people host the show. I don't know if Jimmy had COVID or he was just bored. I don't know, but he wasn't on the show. It was like other people hosting it. This is all information I've just gotten like from research. I don't watch late night shows generally because I don't find them very entertaining. And Jimmy Kimmel can be kind of a douchebag, so fuck him. But on this particular episode, Pete Buttigieg was hosting, which is
what?
a little weird because like it's a politician, but okay, whatever. And apparently Pete Buttigieg is a pretty big Star Trek fan. That is not a surprise. He's a nerdy white guy who's my age, so like of course he likes Star Trek. Like what the fuck else is he gonna like?
Star Wars, Doctor Who.
I'm sure he likes his share of Star Wars as well. Or his husband does. Yeah. So, as one of the sketches on the show, they did a Star Trek trivia game where Pete Buttigieg competed with none other than Sir Patrick Stewart. So,
that's fun. I
am going to ask you two the questions that were asked on that trivia show to find out whether or not you are smarter than Pete Buttigieg.
Okay, hang on. I need to go watch this video.
Smarter. Know more about Star Trek than Pete Buttigieg?
Yeah, so having seen all 8 of these questions, because there are 8 questions, and they are all about TNG, I would be genuinely surprised if both of you didn't get all of them correct. So we're going to put a little twist on this, okay?
Okay.
Every question was answered correctly by either Pat or Pete. And so when I ask you, we're going to write down the answers and then say them at the same time. So there's no like first to the post or any of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So when you write down your answer, I need you to also write down who you think got that one right. Whether it was Pat or Pete. Okay?
Or both?
Okay.
Or did they not ask both of them?
They did not ask both. They had buzzers. So They were buzzing in. So
gotcha.
yes. So there is certainly a chance that both of them knew the answer, but I mean the one that got to it first. Okay.
Okay.
So wait, are we typing this in chat, or are we just gonna like?
You could just type it just so that you have it, and then we'll just read them at the same time.
Okay.
All right. So, also the questions were read by LeVar Burton, so that was fun.
Nice.
Well, that was fun.
Question number 1. Honey, do you want to do this too? Because you didn't actually watch it, and these questions aren't impossible.
I'm knitting right now.
God damn. Okay, never fucking mind. Trying to involve my wife in some shit. Here we go. All right, number 1. Name the only 2 characters to appear. Oh, you know what? Actually, so we're going to write them down. Just like, I'm going to go through them all, and then we're going to go back through them with their answers, okay? I realized I did not make that clear. So I'm going to read question number 1, then I'm going to read question number 2, et cetera, and then we will go back through them.
Okay.
So question number 1. Name the only 2 characters to appear in every episode of Star Trek The Next Generation.
Okay.
All right. Question number 2. What was the...
I'm not ready. I'm thinking. Damn it.
No, there's no thinking.
Go with your gut.
Yeah. Pete and Pat, they got these things in seconds. Come on, man.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Question number 2. What was the name of the bar on the Next Generation's Enterprise?
I don't know why you thought I would get any of this so far.
I guess I just have faith in your ability, baby. Question number 3. What was Jean-Luc Picard's Borg name?
Okay.
Yep.
And you're also writing down who you think got those correct, right?
I wasn't.
You
Me neither.
Do it now.
All right.
Let me know when you're all ready.
All right, ready?
Yep.
Okay. Question number 4. There is a famous meme of Captain Jean-Luc Picard face palming. What character caused him to have this reaction?
Yep.
Okay.
Number 5. Worf didn't always wear a gold-colored uniform. What was the color of his uniform in season 1?
Okay.
Question number 6. True or false? The Enterprise was actually named after the car rental company.
Fuck.
Honey, is that yelling our child?
No.
Just heard some ass yelling outside then, I guess.
Yep.
All right, y'all ready?
Yep.
All right. Question number 7. What was the title of the very first episode of TNG?
Okay.
Hold on, I just heard it again. Is that an animal?
Is that like one of the foxes?
Is it a coyote?
What?
Is it a coyote?
It sounds like a person screaming, which would be more deer adjacent, but it sounds like a kid screaming.
It might be a coyote eating something. I found out while listening to an episode of Conan O'Brien Needs a Friend when they were camping out at one of their houses, the backyard, and they have coyotes nearby. They're animals that sound like children screaming when they're being murdered by coyotes.
At our last house, there's a big field behind our house where there were always coyotes at night. They're very weird sounding.
Okay. Question number 8. Did Geordi LaForge wear boxers or briefs?
What the fuck?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay. Now, I'm going to go through these. I'm just going to give you the answers. You're writing down a point for the correct answer and a point for the person who got it correct. So even if you got the answer incorrect, but you guessed the right person who knew it, that's still a point for you. It's 2 points if you got both the answer and the person correct, okay?
Okay. All right. I'm pasting these in chat just so...
If you were going to cheat, Rob, I wouldn't be your friend.
Oh, all right. All right, let's go.
All right, number 1. Name the only 2 characters to appear in every episode of TNG. That is, of course, Picard and Riker.
Yep.
And Sir Patrick Stewart was the one who got that one correct.
Yep.
Woo, 2 points.
Number 2. What was the name of the bar on TNG Enterprise? That obviously 10 Forward.
Uh-huh.
And Pete got that one.
It's nice.
What is Jean-Luc Picard's Borg name? You only get a point if you wrote down...
I have a guess for this one.
Oh, go ahead, honey.
Is it Borgie McBorgerson?
Oh, no. So that was the other Borg that showed up. Yeah.
No, it
that
was actually
immediately popped in my head.
was actually a Borgy McBorgface.
You only get a
that's much
point
better.
if you wrote down Locutus of Borg. That is his full name.
Oh, give me a break.
And Pete got that one, but he barely beat Pat to the buzzer.
Boo.
Okay. Which character caused Picard to make the famous facepalm meme? It was Q.
Yep.
And Sir Patrick got that one. All right. Worf didn't always wear a gold-colored uniform. What was the uniform color in season 1? It was red.
I knew that one.
And Pete got that one.
Oh. Okay.
True or false, the Enterprise was actually named after the car rental company. That is, of course, false. And Sir Patrick Stewart was damn near offended when he gave that correct answer. Question number 7, what was the title of the very first episode of TNG? Encounter at Farpoint.
Oh, yeah, gosh.
Sir Patrick also got that one correct.
Okay.
And the final question, number 8, did Geordie LaForge wear boxers or briefs? This was a trick question. He went commando.
Oh, come on now.
And Sir Patrick did get this correct.
Oh, nice. I guessed that.
All right, I got that one.
I'm like, who else would know?
Yeah, right? That's like something you learn during production.
All right, so what are our scores?
I got
12.
12.
Nice.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
right,
Locutus
now-
of Borg messed me up, and I guessed who got it wrong.
Okay, so here's our tiebreaker, because the game is called Are You Smarter Than Pete Buttigieg?
Oh, no.
So, did either of you get question number 3 correct?
Nope.
No.
Okay, I assume question number 2 you got correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you get question number 6 correct?
Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 5. 5.
Yes.
5. I got the answer correct, but I guessed Patrick Stewart.
Okay. And you got 2 points for all of those, Chris?
Yes.
Okay, then that makes Chris smarter than Pete Buttigieg.
Woo!
Those were the ones that Pete got correct, so I was just going to go by those as the tiebreaker, and ooh, Chris just squeaked it out.
Woo!
Oh, man. So yeah, because my sensei suggested, he was like, oh, you should listen to this. I'm like, oh, I'll make that a potpourri. That's a great idea, because he listens to the podcast. Hey, Bruce. But I was listening to the questions, and I'm like, oh, these are easy as fuck. Like Encounter at Farpoint, I'm like, yeah, maybe someone won't remember that. And the meme one, I was like, all right, well, because that could have been, I assume, did y'all guess Wesley on the meme one?
No,
I
got
did,
the.
I did
I
in my
got
head.
Q. Yeah, I got Q right.
I guess Wesley in my head.
Rob, did you get Q correct?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, fuck me then.
I also guessed Commando in my head.
That's amazing.
That tracks actually.
I guess Breeze because he seemed like a tidy whities kind of guy.
See, I was thinking he seemed like a boxers kind of guy.
Well, jokes on both of you. It's neither.
He's
So
free-balling.
yeah, you could find that clip on the YubTubs. It's fine. Pete Buttigieg is a lot of things. Energetic is not one of them, and it shows in that clip. So, anywho, that'll wrap us for this evening. We had a longer summary, but our deep dive and our potpourri were a little shorter. So actually, this is rounding out to be about our average episode length anymore. Like we say at the top and the bottom, whenever we remember, please don't forget to subscribe, give us ratings, 5 stars if you please. We are 5-star people. Tell your friends, tell any Star Trek communities you're a part of. Put it on a thumb drive, copy it a bunch of times, and scatter it around a parking lot. Any of these are fine. There's by law, you can't get in trouble if I told you to do it.
Yeah, that's sound legal advice.
That's interesting.
But otherwise, have a good night, and we will see you next week.
Bye-bye.